So, I think it's interesting the way, it was really interesting the way in which you've talked about being independent, and you were saying the kind of boom and bust and backwards and forwards, and might kind of, you can do it, it is possible. So there's a sense that it's quite difficult. So why do you do it? Why independent? Why don't you just go and get a job and work for a big broadcaster, or, you know, I'll start with you actually.
For me, I felt, when I was moving into, I'm not from a traditional kind of media or television background, and when I first came into the business, such as it is, from the independent side, we got some funding through what was then the Northwest Vision, the regional arm of the Film Council as it was, to make a film about Lancashire wrestling. It was this phenomenon that kind of disappeared, but the Japanese still. It's quite a complicated story, but we felt it was kind of a missing piece of local history that actually had this international relevance. It was completely overlooked, and so it was quite a local story for us. And we made it, pulled it together. We got it kind of on in Japan because there was kind of knowledge of this story, and I suppose from that point I felt it was like a stepping stone. It would be easy. I was very naive, I still am really, but I thought, you know, we would then move on if we had good ideas. And I think the year after that was at there's certain structured routes into the industry, and I was one of them is like kind of a traditional one was kind of Channel 4 having this a first cut slot, it's called at the moment, but it used to be called something else or whatever. And one of the things they sort of linked to that, they had the pitch at Sheffield Documentary Festival, which I did, and I pitched an idea on a guy called Michael Shields, who was he was arrested in Bulgaria over an assault. He was a Liverpool fan. It was after the European Cup final. You may or may not know this story, but anyway, I kind of got the story so far, and I had this commission. Sky wanted to do it, and I thought, this is, you know, going well. But anyway, someone else came in with the idea. I got nothing signed or agreed, and it ended up being a program for ITV, and I worked on it, but I didn't direct it or produce it. And I think the process of going through that, and just generally when I was pitching ideas to television and seeing what's on, I felt there was I actually left kind of a career of sorts. I was kind of involved in international development to try and get involved in what I saw as factual filmmaking, and I felt that actually television as it was, well, from experience, there were very few slots or very few areas that really did the type of thing that I was interested in. There was Storyville, which still exists on the BBC, but they only do a handful of films a year. And there was True Stories on Channel 4, which has changed now. It's more UK focused, and I would say it's slightly tabloid orientated now to me. So if I was going to be bothered doing it at all, as you say, I would probably go and get a job, or I try and really make things that I'm interested in, think have some relevance and perhaps are not being covered in other areas. And really, although the way we consume media has changed, television still provides such kind of oxygen to ideas and debate and discussion, and you know, then you've got the whole long tail. It can be viewed on so many different platforms, but still often money comes from television, and the kind of exposure comes from television. So you can't ignore it, but at the same time, depending on your motivation for getting involved, it's not an easy route to kind of get involved in, I suppose, if the type of thing Ian's talking about. If you see it as kind of a constructive debate about how society is, or what it means, or what ideas are, you know, and all. A bit early to get carried away with some of this, but this is, you're asking me why. I'm kind of like, it's my own motivation to try and do something that I think is worthwhile. I'm going to commit such effort to try and see things happen, then I have to believe in it myself. I have to think it's worth someone's time to watch it, because what's the point of me putting my time and effort into something I don't even believe in? Why should I expect someone else to watch it?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think, you know, when you're going into whatever you decide to go into, I think you want to be passionate about it. I think that's the number one thing. Passion and hard work are the two things that'll get you anywhere in life. And if you're not passionate about what you do, well, then you might as well just quit and do something else, to be perfectly honest, because you're going to be working for the majority of your time. So this whole idea of work to live or live to work, you're at work most of the sort of waking day, so you might as well live to work and enjoy the time that you're there and have fun. And I think that's why most of us originally probably go into something creative, because we want to do something that we enjoy and we get excited by. I personally get excited by what I do because I go home and I watch Horizon, I watch Brian Cox, but I'm very aware that people that watch my programme probably don't, all of them, watch those programmes because I know what our demographic is. So I get highly passionate about working. We work with London School of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene, we work with Bristol University quite a lot. We work with different universities. Some of our films they use for training students and things. And I'm really passionate about slipping those things in there, those little bits of science, to sort of people who are watching who are sort of school teenagers who don't quite realise that they've just learned some lovely science along the way. So I'm sort of really passionate about doing that. And I completely agree with you. If nobody's watching it, there's kind of no point to me because you're making it for yourself. So I might as well be doing it at home and just watching it for myself and think, oh, that was lovely and what a beautiful little shot I did there. Because if nobody's watching it for me, I just don't know why I would do it. So I do sort of strongly believe in doing that. And I do still believe in television. I mean, how many of you have watched television in the last week? Actually, television. Any of you watched television in the last week on the box? How many of you watched YouTube on the internet in the last week? It's an interesting thing that, because basically more than 50% of viewers are still watching channels 1 to 5. Most nights it's 65 to 70% of viewers are watching those channels. There's 72 hours, I think, of footage uploaded to YouTube every single minute. The thing about the internet is I think we don't know how it's going to go. We don't know where things are going to go. The company that I work with make YouTube films and they sell advertising off the back of it so that they're sort of funding those projects. They're one-man projects. We're taking YouTube talent to do it. They think that at the moment that you need to get 1 million hits to make $6,000 of advertising revenue. So it's an interesting sort of future, but I strongly believe that since the time of the Greeks, we have always wanted to be entertained. We've always wanted to see the glossy, wonderful things. So I really strongly believe that things like the Natural World series, things like the Brian Cox's, the £1 million an hour plus series, which take years to make, and really do cost an awful lot of money, I think we're always going to want to watch them because I just believe that we want to watch good quality content out there. I don't know whether things, ironically, that I make, the sort of prime time things that still cost an awful lot of money, nothing like that, I must point out, will continue. But I think that we'll get international brands, we will potentially pay per view, a little bit like when you're going to the cinema to see films, and we're really successful at doing that in this country. Top Gear is the most watched factual programme on the planet. Whatever you think of it, it's a British success story. It's a great economic success story. It's a great television success story. We've sold Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Strictly Come Dancing, Pop Idol, Embarrassing Bodies itself goes to 100 different territories around the world. Australia are just launching their own series of it, which we've just been consulting on. So we're really successful at doing that, and I think we should really celebrate that in this country.